All right, so let me pull up my ACT material.
Okay.
I have 5 tests.
Okay.
And we can just go through them, just like we were doing with your tests. These are McGraw-Hill, and I don't think that's not one of the books you've been using.
No, I have the Kaplan.
Right. I have Kaplan also, but it's better if we use one you haven't used.
All right.
Let's just start from the beginning.
Okay.
So work me through the steps here.
Okay. So first you're going to subtract the 5 to the other side.
So give me the next line.
So 2x equals 12.
And the next line?
Then it's just x equals 6.
Okay. Number 2. This is kind of they usually put one question on the test that is a logic question.
Okay.
This is that one.
So G and H are correct?
Well, G is certainly correct because horse B runs fast, and all horses that run fast are brown. So horse B is brown. Now, that's a little different than H. Notice that H says all brown horses run fast, which is not what that says. That says all horses that run fast are brown. You could have 100 brown horses and only 20 of them run fast, but you might only have 20 fast horses, and they're these 20. So it would be incorrect to say that all brown horses run fast, which is what H says. Okay. But since horse B runs fast, he has to be brown.
Okay. So only G is correct.
That's correct. There's always only going to be one answer that's correct. You're never going to find a situation where there's 2 answers that are correct.
Okay.
Might look like that occasionally, but can you read that okay, Nikki?
Yes.
All right. If I said, how much greater is 10, how much greater, excuse me, if I said, how much greater than 3 is 10, what would you do?
Would you just add the difference?
What's the answer to this? How much greater than 3 is 10?
7.
Okay, so what did you do? You subtracted this minus that. In other words, you did 10 minus 3.
Yes.
Do exactly that here. So we're going to have, we take the second term and we subtract the first term. Right?
Okay.
Now let's make sure we can do this algebra. The first set of parentheses I can get rid of without doing anything. That's almost always the case. Second set of parentheses, how do I get rid of those?
By distributing the negative?
So what's next?
Minus x plus 2.
Simplify.
X plus 3.
How many x's do we have?
2.
We have a plus and we have a minus. That's none.
So, okay, so none.
How many numbers do we have?
7.
That's the answer.
Okay.
Now notice that this problem looks hard. Any problem that has 5 sentences in it looks hard. But it's not hard. It's very easy. They put all that sentence in there just to make it look hard. A of B is the amount of money you're going to earn by selling B boxes of greeting cards. So,
Okay.
if I sold 15 boxes, what am I going to do?
Are you going to write A parenthesis 15 equals 4 parenthesis 15 minus 30?
Good. What's that number? Probably want to have a calculator next to you, Nikki, just like you do when we meet in person.
Okay. That's 30.
Okay, that's correct. Okay, let me go to the next page. I still do hear that stuff in the background. I can tolerate it, but if it's too much for you, we can try another method.
I can definitely hear you. It's not there's nothing out besides your voice, really.
Okay.
It does sound like a TV is on, though.
Well, as long as, yeah, there's not on my end. As long as you can stand it, I'm certainly good with it. It's not as bad as it used to be. It's not sure what it is, but not that big a deal. Okay. Number 5.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so are you going to find out 20% of the 660?
And then what? In other words, if you go to the store to buy something, and they say 20% off, you don't get it for 20% of that price. You get it for 80% of that price. So there's two ways to do this. You can multiply the 660 by 20%, and whatever you come up with, then subtract that number from 660. And that'll give you that. And that's the correct answer. But there's an easier way to do it. If you go see something as 20% off, that means you're going to pay 80% for it. So since you have a calculator anyway, do that on your calculator, and that's going to come out to be the same number. And this is kind of an important thing to realize, because there's lots of problems on the ACT that have this 20% off or 20% tax. So it's useful to know that if something is 30% off, you pay 70% for it. Or if something is 5% off, you pay 95% for it. If something has a 6% tax, if this question said that it was a 6% tax, what would we do?
Then we do 660.
Times what?
Is it 0.06?
It's 1.06. In other words, 0.06 would give you the amount of the tax. But then you have to add that to the original price. So if we want to do it all in one step, we just multiply 1.06 times 6.6. In other words, whatever the premium is, you can add a 1 to it, or whatever the discount is, you can subtract that from 1. And it's all it does is it just saves you one step. It's not that big a deal if you forget to do it. In other words, if you do this the standard way, you would take 20% of that number. Whatever your answer is, you subtract it from that number. Notice that the number 12 has nothing to do with anything.
Right.
Lots of questions in the ACT where they put numbers that are irrelevant to the problem. Do you have a speakerphone, Nikki?
On my phone?
Well, I don't know. Do you have a house phone that has a speakerphone on it next to your computer?
No, I do not.
Okay. Because I was going to suggest we try that just to see if it eliminates some of that noise. That's what I've done with other students where I have a lot of background noise, is I call them on my Google phone onto their speakerphone, and then we're not communicating through the GoToMeeting phone. That seems to solve everybody's problem. But
well, if you, I can do a phone call on my cell phone.
But then you'd have to leave your cell phone on speakerphone?
Yeah.
It's probably not going to work that well for you. I don't know if I would hear any better or not. We can try that. Like right now, I don't hear any background noise at all. But, let's just keep going as is.
Okay.
Unless it becomes intolerable.
Okay.
This is one of those strange problems where they say, what cannot be the value of A plus B? Well, what is A?
7?
Let's try 8. What is B?
Oh, right. You're right. It's 8. 9.
So what is A plus B?
17.
So which answer is correct? F, G, H, and K.
Would it be K?
Like I said, according to the math we just did, it's F, G, H, or K. In other words, you got A plus B was equal to 17. So that can't be right, that can't be right, that can't be right, and that can't be right. Which tells you that you've made a mistake somewhere. In other words, you cannot have 4 correct answers. None of these problems ever have more than one answer that is correct. So if you find multiple answers that are correct, you've done something wrong. So let's go back and answer again, what is A? Is it 8 or is it plus or minus 8?
Could it be -8?
It's plus or minus. In other words, if I square -8, I get 64. So -8 is a possible answer. About B. That's plus or minus 9, not just 9. Remember that whenever you're solving an equation by taking the square root of both sides, which is how we did this, you should always start off with plus or minus. In other words, if I say z squared is equal to 25, z is equal to plus or minus 5. Okay? So now that we know A is equal to plus or minus 8, and B is equal to plus or minus 9, could we get minus 17? What if we used minus 8 plus the minus 9? Okay, so that's not the correct answer because we can get that. Can we get minus 1?
Yeah.
Plus 8 minus 9 is minus 1. Can we get 1?
Yes.
Can we get
Wait, yes.
Can we get 145?
No.
Absolutely. You're right. That's the answer. In other words, we can actually get any of those 4 answers right there, but what we cannot get is 145. No matter what combination you add those 2 numbers together, you're never going to get 145.
Real quick, can you hear me? Is it?
You were kind of choppy there.
What was I saying?
Say what you were going to say.
Hard to understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was just for a moment there when you were asking questions.
It was because it was only because I was exiting out of some other things on my computer, and I think that's what the background noise.
Oh, yeah, always close anything you have running. Only because GoToMeeting is extremely computer power intensive. It really hogs all your computer power. So if you have anything else running on your taskbar or something, it's going to take away from the GoToMeeting experience. So I have to do that same thing. I have to close everything I have running. All right.
I think it's going to work better now.
Okay. All right. This is a geometry problem. What is angle F? Or really BFE?
would be, sorry, 40. Oh, wait. No, 140. 140?
140 is correct. Very good. Let's just review. Parallel lines and transversals. If you have a parallel line and a transversal like this, you only create two angles, A and B. Every other angle here is either A or B. That's A, that's B. This is the big one, that's A, this is B, this is B. Furthermore, A plus B are always supplementary. So in this case, they gave us two parallel lines and this transversal. So I know that that 40-degree angle is the same as this 40-degree angle, which makes this 140. You're going to get a lot of questions on parallel lines and transversals. The secret to most of them is eliminating the other line that they throw in there. See this line BE?
Yeah.
All that serves is to confuse. In other words, if I gave you this problem here, you'd come up with 140 a lot quicker than if I threw in an extra line that had nothing to do with the problem.
Mm-hmm.
So always make sure when you see parallel lines and transversals that you recognize it right away and realize that that's what you're dealing with.
Okay.
How about number 8? What is f of minus 3 equal to?
F
Let's go
minus 3.
through it step by step.
Okay.
The easiest way to do these, don't skip any steps at all.
Here.
Just go in and plug in minus 3 for x in parentheses.
Okay, so minus 3 squared minus 6 times minus 3 minus 18.
Okay, that's your first step. Now let's simplify. What's minus 3 squared?
Is that going to be positive 9?
What's this?
Negative 9?
Well, first of all, 6 times 3 is 18.
Oh, I don't, sorry, yes.
And it's a negative times a negative. So it's positive 18.
Okay.
And then finally you have the minus 18. So what's that whole thing worth?
Nine.
Okay. That's the answer. All right, absolute value. That's what these vertical bars mean. If A is equal to 12, what is that thing equal to? Still there, Nikki? Ah, you're back? Nikki? Alright. Let's try this a different way. Let me call you on your cell phone number and let's try you using the speaker. Is that okay? Nikki?
Yes?
I'm going to call you on your cell phone right now. I'm going to call you with my Google phone. Let's see if that doesn't help things a little bit. Just call the same number, 1462. Can you answer that and put it, yeah, go ahead and put that on speaker.
Welcome to GoToMeeting. There is one other caller on the call.